In the heart of our great nation, where the strength of our communities is built upon the foundation of strong and loving families,
we stand as one against the night, with steel and fire in our sight. No more silence, no more shame. We'll scream to heaven and this game. Our team is strong, you're not alone. Tiff and Spanny taking control. Vinny, Herbert, Daniel too. Kim and Gunner bring us through. Rise up, shout loud, don't tread on me. We're hunting justice, we will be free. No, no more tears, no more despair. We stand for Kerry, we're always there. CPS victims, hear our call. We break the chains, we stand tall. Through the darkness, find the light. Now we have Brenda, we are ready to fight. For every child taken away, we rise against the breaking day. Punisher leads our fearless flight. With hearts of fire, we'll make it right. Rise up, shout loud, don't tread on me. We're hunting justice, we will be free. No, no more tears, no more despair. We stand for Kerry.
our courts are contaminated with young, inexperienced caseworkers and polluted with bribes, high-priced bonuses for speedy adoption of terminated parents, and judges who don't practice law with the Constitution in their sights. This is a problem.
They take away the fathers, leaving just a mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division is what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again. CPS comes along with the mission to protect. The only thing they are doing is cashing in those checks, paid for by the souls of the children. Diagnosed by a caseworker who is still a baby herself. They take away the fathers, leaving just the mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to CPS Victims Fighting Justice. I am your host, the CPS Punisher, and it is Tuesday night, right? Yeah, Tuesday night. Yeah, right? Tuesday night, sure is. What's going on? We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of things are happening in the White House. Things are getting torn up out there. Donald Trump shaking up trees. That's getting us one step closer to CPS getting abolished. We got the chat right here to the right, which Chris has already taken advantage of, and so has Debbie. If you got questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, please feel free to post them up right there. But we got a lot of things to get going on, so let's bring out who we got back here with us. Who do we got in the pit here? Let's see who we got in the pit. Who we got in the pit? Oh, we got a full house here. We got the Freedom Fighter, we got Herbert, and we got the man with the guns, Gunner himself. What's up, guys?
Hello.
What's happening, guys?
Hello.
Herbert, you sound like a man from Paul here.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we always can. Every episode, we can hear Herbert. Every time.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello,
Herbert?
Gunner. Good. How you doing, Darren? How you doing, Gunner? And how you doing, Vinny?
There we go. That's the way, Herbert. That's the way to do it. So what's
Are
up,
you
guys?
feeling better, Gunner? Gunner, are you feeling better?
He's muted, Herbert. He don't realize it yet. So RFK looks like he was looks like he made it in there. He made it in there, so that's good. That means we can look for CPS to get ready to pull up their bootstraps, tuck their heads between their legs. You know what that means, right?
Oh,
You know what happens when you tuck your head between your legs? Vinny, what do you do when you tuck your head between your legs?
you spell run. Are you in?
Which one, Vinny? What happens? One of you can't finish that sentence? You never heard that saying, Vinny?
I said it.
What?
You said spell run. Are you in?
I said, everybody. A bunch of loonies here.
What did you say?
Anyway, so dealing with a bunch of loonies. You know, like up in Togus, the loony men, loony. Stand By Me reference for people from Maine. But anyway, what's going on, Herbert? You got anything new? What do you got? You've been working on your stuff for quite some time. What do you got? You got something new for us?
Yeah, I gave you Dr. Griffin yesterday.
Well, I understand
I'm
that.
trying
But
to work
that's not today.
I'm trying to work on other stuff for you.
I didn't know if you were working on any of your, if you don't do better, you do better stuff. You got any new discoveries on any of that stuff?
Well, no new discovery in terms of sayings and stuff. Nothing new on that. I'm just trying to work on getting other people.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep that on the Herbert on the people person. So Herbert, Valentine's Day. You know what's coming up on that day?
That's when we're supposed to all get together and talk, right? And you're going to put that clip together for Washington D.C.
That's right. We're gonna have our guests come on the show, and they're gonna come out here. They're gonna send a message over to Mr. Trump and to the White House themselves, right? So we need everybody to participate in this.
You guys
It's supposed to be like 15,
right?
he said there was supposed to be like 15 people.
Yeah, well, I mean, the more the merrier, right? We're trying to, that way we can get everybody to share this stuff. We got to get this message across. We got to get our message in there, Herbert.
Do you guys hear me?
Our message home, right? We got to get it in there. So we need to make as much noise about this event as possible. We need to get everybody involved in it. We need to get everybody have their friends. They need to share the hell out of it. Tomorrow we'll have graphics up for it so people can share it on their Facebook pages or websites. Their aunts, their uncles, get them all in on this. We need to get everybody in there. The more people we can do to make noise, Herbert, the better off chances we have on getting into the White House, right?
Right. That's correct.
That's right. Unlike Gunner here, who can't figure out his headset.
Can Gunner hear us?
Oh, he can hear us. Can't you see we're making fun
Oh,
of him and he's laughing?
Gunn, if you can hear us, we can't hear
You
you.
guys hear me now?
Yeah.
He was a cop. You can tell. Obviously, he's a detective. Let's see. Naylor, what are we talking about here? The section applies to children who are placed in foster care. Lady P's in the
What's up,
house.
Lady P? Hi, Jamie.
Terry's in the house.
Deb Naylor.
Naylor.
What's up?
The whole world's
What's up,
in
Miss
here.
Chris? Hi, Debbie.
Hello,
Hi,
Tammy.
Pat.
Hello, Lady
Oh,
P.
Herbert, lead the pack, baby. What do you? Gunner's still down. Let me see if Gunner showing any green bars up there.
No.
No, so he's muted out on his side.
Gunner,
All right.
try the settings at the bottom of the screen. Hit the 3 dots. And go to your video and your sound that way and change it over. It might be just screwed up.
Chris, I'll tell you about it in just 1 second. Hold on.
What's the 50501 movement? What is that?
Hold on a second. Hold on. We'll talk about it here in a second. Let's see Gunner in here first. It's the anti-Trump march about the wanting to take Canada as a 51st state. So I don't know if there's any. I don't think that there's any real meat potatoes to that thing. But I don't think that that's true. I think that that was just kind of said, and then it was kind of played along with. I mean, Trump made his comments about saying that, oh, well, the amount of money that we spend on Canada every year, why wouldn't we take it on the 51st state? But I don't think that there's any sort of sincerity about us taking on the Canada as a 51st state. I really don't. I think that that's farce. I think this thing's getting taken a little bit too far. And I think that everybody should just let it go. I mean, no harm, no foul. So what? The guy said something. They were probably, him and Trudeau were probably joking about something about it, and then all of a sudden it just got blown way the hell out of proportion.
No, Trump is still after Canada. He's not backing off.
He's not trying to consume Canada to be in the 51st state.
He's pursuing it.
He's not going to try to make. Do you realize, first of all, what it would take to make Canada a state?
About the same amount of energy as it takes to grab Greenland.
No, it'd be an act of God, really.
Well, it's the same thing with Greenland then.
Why? Well, it's just hard.
Greenland belongs to.
First of all, Greenland is really Iceland. It's a desolate, nasty place that no one really lives at. There's no infrastructure. There's no anything there. Secondly, what do you mean when who grabbed Greenland?
No, I'm saying that the Don wants to have Greenland. He wants to grab Greenland.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, we got sound.
You have sound. We can hear you. Gun, if that's you talking, I can hear you. Gun. How are you doing? How's your health, Gun?
Got out of the hospital, and my blood pressure ended up dropping dramatically down into the 30s, so they had to change one of my medications, and then I actually had a clot in my lung that I'm actually working to pass, so they added some blood thinners to trying to get that to pass and really catching on to that. So we're staying ahead of the game as far as our health and doing the best we can and trying to find that balance with medication and everything else. It's a daily fight, but I believe we're in a good place now. So,
well, that's good. I'm very happy to hear you're doing better.
Yes.
Hey, I'm ready to kick some ass, man. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is I'm ready to put on my fight, and we're ready to lead the charge against this stuff. Is all I can say, and we're looking forward to this. I think everybody's excited. What's getting ready to happen? New administration, a lot of changing, just full exposure. Time to blow the doors off of it.
It's quite more than that now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're about to find out what Daddy Trump got in prize for them.
Oh, yeah, we can have that little conversation with him.
Yeah, because he's not fucking
Along
around. But you're
along
gonna
with the
find
new
out.
Department of Justice, head of Department of Justice, our brand new FBI director that has
We
said he
also
doesn't care who they are. He's
So,
coming after them.
so get
we
this.
also
They're doing, check this out. The 50-51 movement is planning on a host 50 protests on Wednesday in all
yeah.
50 states. So 50 protests, one in each state. Um, let's see what else to say. Advocate for free speech, racial equality, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, public health, safety, gun violence stuff. All right, so we see where this is going. This is Antifa's thing. This is everybody that hates Donald Trump and the way America's heading. Protests.
Yeah, damn that whole Constitution thing. We just hate our own
Yeah,
Constitution,
want to
which,
live freedom of speech. So it's funny because these groups want to have freedom of speech, right? They want freedom of speech, but they only want freedom of speech to work their way. Because when you come back with freedom of speech, it's like, oh, you can't say that, that's racist, or you're a bigot, or you're this, or you're that, or you're all of these other things. But yet
those only apply to me.
they can use all these loose terms and all these things themselves to call themselves amongst themselves.
And you know
But
who's organizing them?
just say you
who's
don't even know what to call one of these people, so you call them by some somewhat set derogatory name. You're going to be in so much trouble for that, lose your career, you lose all of this stuff. But yet these terms, these groups use lightly amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So just say you're some poor guy that doesn't know that, green bow, which isn't a word or anything, but let's say green bow is subsequently a bad name for some sort of a group. And you call them, oh, hey, green bow. And they'd be like, oh, man, you did that. Oh, you're in so much trouble and you lose your career and all this stuff. So freedom of speech is going to work for everybody, man. You can't have special rights. It can't be equal rights. It's got to be special, and it's got to be equal rights, not special rights, right?
Rights for me
I
and
agree.
rights.
What if we went out now? What if we went out and pulled a 50-50 state, uh, a 50-50 state protest, and did it the way that we would want to do it? With guns and yelling loud and music and cranking and
Chris,
yeehaw, like typical redneck type 50-51 planned protest. A lot of
Chrissy
these
just did.
say that we are
Chrissy,
what? We're redneck. We'd be
They'd be
white trash,
you a part of the
supremacists.
KKK and the whole
Yeah,
point good thing and everything. It's
love
pretty.
America. Right, because we would love America. We want to get our kids back. We'd be turned into some sort of a hate mongering group.
did you
It's always
see
funny
Chris?
those people that claim that don't even have fucking kids. Nor would, to
Right.
be honest, most of them. It's pretty apparent why they don't have kids between their attitude and everything else.
Yeah, no one wants to lay with them.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing to do with, oh, you're this or that. Man, listen, I've seen some people, big, small, this and that. It's your attitude that comes through on everything. Nobody wants to be, around somebody that's going to be argumentative, combative, and everything else constantly. When I come home, the last thing I want is more combat after doing combat basically out in the world. I want to come home to my home of peace, my castle.
Agree to that.
So,
You don't be burning the American flag ever. I don't give a shit who you are. You burn that flag, man. That's not freedom of speech, man. That's desecrating a symbol of lost soldiers, our freedom, our nation. I don't. You know what? You can burn it. Do it. That is your right. You're right. But I'll be damned, don't be doing that next to me, man, because there's too many Americans that have lost their lives, not lost their lives, that have given up their lives so that you can sit there and piss on a flag and stomp on it and everything else. And that's just disgusting, distasteful, disgraceful. And, take that shit somewhere else. Don't do it around me. But you have every right to do it. Don't burn that goddamn flag. Unless, of course, it touches the ground and you're doing it in a proper way of disposal and then it's acceptable. Do you know what's in the ball at the top of an American flag, Herbert?
What's on the top of the
Yeah, what's
ball?
in that ball?
I don't know. Tell me.
Gunner, you know what's in it?
That is the hopes and dreams of America. Usually, it's been portrayed as the ball of how it's the head of the world with the American eagle usually on top. And what that is all the hopes and dreams.
Usually, I see the American eagle. Usually, I see the American eagle on top. I usually see the American eagle on top of the flag.
That's a proper one, an unfringed American eagle with it resting upon the ball. The ball is actually a world. When you go back to the history of that, that actually has ties to the United States Marine Corps and actually their emblem as well.
But that's not what's in there. That's not what's supposed to be in there either, Gunner.
Okay.
There's a bullet in a match. A bullet and a match.
Bullet
For a
match.
reason.
Okay. I know what you're referring to on that one.
So you're the last one. If we ever get run over, you're the last persons to burn the flag and then unalive themselves. That's that's the symbolism of it anyway. That's never to be done. But if in the case that ever happens, that the United States is ever overtaken, that's it. You're the last one standing. So there's so much symbolism and pride and all that stuff. And pride is the devil, but you know what? That American flag really does mean something. And so these bastards that want to burn it and show a protest and everything, it's disgusting and despicable. But you know what? It is your right to do so. So burn away, man. But just know that you're an asshole doing it.
Well, it
Be
also
aware
is
you're
actually,
surrounded
it's
by.
actually a
Be
crime
aware
as
of
well.
who you are surrounded by when you are burning a flag. Also,
Is there not a USC code on burning the flag in a
Yeah,
non?
oh, yeah. There's a charge for burning flags. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a federal offense.
Yep.
but you know, here it is again: the right to freedom of speech and expression. Right?
Yeah.
You can't. So you can't sit there. I guess this is kind of one of those things where you can't pick and choose the rights, right? Just like what CPS does. Wait a minute. Why do they get to pick and choose? Oh, we can't have a jury. Or why do they get to pick and choose the due process things? Where the due process things, all of these things are written out in the laws and procedures and statutes and codes that we don't even have to follow. We're not even supposed to follow. Those things are supposed to be in line for the government to take place and take heed of, not us. But we do, and we follow them, and we do all that. But yet they get to pick and choose. Screw you. Yo, I want a jury trial. Why do you get to determine that we don't get to have one? Why do you get to lay it down and not even offer that to us when our Constitution gives us that right? Why is this going to be pick and chosen against? Pick and chosen, pick and choosed. There's a lot of things. What are some rights that we lose as parents when they deal with us? When they deal with us, that every other parent that doesn't have CPS action against them, what rights do they have as parents that we get stripped of?
None. We're all equal
that
under the
doesn't
law.
help our argument, Eddie. I mean, we got due process, right? We have all kinds of due process denials in this whole situation, right?
Right. And then, I want to touch on that since you brought that up, Darren, because my stepfather said something to me in the kitchen today. He said, without due process, they cannot take your rights away. Period.
Mm-hmm. Your constitutional rights apply both in a criminal court and a civil court. That is why
With
12
with
or 13, I believe, is called your civil civil rights, your civil liberties.
Do you guys know how due process is brought about?
Well, one, you're supposed to have
tell me.
One or two witnesses. Isn't it something like at least two verifiable witnesses of a crime that can testify under oath that is something has happened, which goes before a grand jury to send down an indictment before an arrest for an actual arrest, and then you're supposed to be able to argue that in the court of law, but you're innocent until proven guilty. But there's a threshold they have to meet before they can bring you even into the court, which actually most states don't even follow due processing law for arresting somebody. They'll arrest you on the side of the road when it turns around.
There's a lot involved with it. There's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's very in depth, very complex.
So we're denied this in so many ways, but I don't think anybody even understands what and how the due process clause came about. Like, what does it require, right? How has it even come about, right?
Right.
So
I say that due to some of the things that they were dealing with in England, where they were brought before a magistrate, or there's a different name or something for it in England, to where there wasn't that you just went before a judge and or a panel of judges, and they made that decision. It wasn't done by the people. But once again, the way our country is written, it's we the people are the government. Therefore, we the people should have the say, which is the thing we are being robbed of. This is not England. This is not another country. We the people have the right to do that. There are these are all elected and appointed officials and actors. We the people are the ones that actually have the power. That's why the power of the jury is there. Very much so, I believe. What's your opinion
right.
on that, Eric?
Well, here's the thing. There's 3 parts to a due process clause, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a neutral and unbiased tribunal or judge, jury, whatever. You have to have the notice of the government's intended action and asserted grounds for it. So not only do they have to give you the notice, they have to tell you why they are bringing these charges against you. And then you have to have the opportunity for an individual to present the reasons why the government should not move forward with their intended action. All right. That's just the first, like the main 3. Um, there's the right for the individual to present evidence, including the right to call a witness, the right for an individual to see opposing side's evidence, the right to cross-examine the opposition's witnesses, a decision based exclusively on the evidence presented, the opportunity to be represented by counsel, the requirement that the tribunal prepare a record of the evidence presented, a requirement that the tribunal prepare written findings of fact and reason for its decision. But you're right, it does come from some of the stuff from overseas. Fundamental fairness, they call it. So those are the 10 main points that go with it.
You have a right to face your accuser. Well, who's your accuser in CPS? It's not a person, it's an entity. How can it be an entity? The government can't take and.
So wait a minute, check this one out. The opportunity for the individual to present the reasons why the government should not move forward with the intended action. What would that be considered?
Preliminary hearing. Wouldn't it fall under that category?
I don't know. I'm asking everybody else what this, how this works.
I would say
because that's really weird. Because when do you get to say no, we're not moving forward?
Right. You don't.
Or is that considered a grand jury thing? What is that?
I think that would be. I was doing something on that today. I was looking at something. It would be.
You thinking like show for cause, Vinny?
No. It's not a show cause. It's not. I'm trying to find the wording that I had in it because it was in a motion that I've been writing myself. Motion for vacate judgment on grounds of violation of constitutional right.
Deprivation of rights under color of law. Yep.
Yep.
All right. So this says right here, it says the criteria for determining whether the due process requirements have been met depends on whether the particular government action concerns a civil or criminal proceeding. Specifically in civil context, the courts utilize a balancing test between private interest, the government's public interest, the possibility of the government procedure's erroneous deprivation of private interest in evaluating government conduct. On the other hand, in criminal procedures, the court looks to whether the procedure the government has adopted is offensive to the notion of fundamental fairness for the due process analysis. So the analysis for due process is inquiring more narrowly for criminal procedures. Let's see what this says here. Balancing test. Balancing test is defined as a subjective test in which the court weighs competing interests. For instance, the court would weigh the interest between an inmate's liberty interest and the government's interest in public safety to decide which inmate prevails. So in the civil procedure, let's see here. I'm just trying to figure this out because we all talk about due process, due process, due process. Well, let's nail this down. What is due process, and what are the things in the family law court? What are the things that we go up against for CPS make it a due process failure?
Correct.
And we all talk about it all the time. That's due process, failure due process. Okay, what is due process? What
It's
are
actually
they in family courts?
it's actually more than that, Darren. Because
What does Google say about due process? What's the definition?
Well, I mean, not just that, but we have to look at a thing for due process. You guys do understand that family court is something that was created by the states as a division of
Right.
civil.
But we're dealing in family court, so that's why I'm trying to say, like, let's stay specific to this
Just what
because
is
let's
the
figure out
what
the
is the
rules for us here.
definition? What is this the general generic definition of due process?
Well,
Okay.
no, you'd have to ask Black Law's Dictionary what
I'll
it
have
is for the
And
legal
that's
part.
Black Law's Dictionary. What's the due process? What does it mean in Black Law's Dictionary?
Let me get it.
Okay, now while he's gonna do that, I want to read something. Okay, a complaint for violation of constitutional right and other claims. Now listen to this. This is a motion that I'm working on. It's not done. It's not put together all. It's just a piece of it. It states, this is a civil action for violation of plaintiff's constitutional rights under the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, as well as claims of fraud, coercion, manipulation, and treason against the defendants, including CPS, guardian ad litem, and assistant attorney general. How do you like that one?
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Vinny.
Okay, and here I'm reading. I think in Alaska.
Herbert,
Alaska,
I have a
due
specific
pro-
question for you, Herbert. And this was brought up in the Tiff and Punisher show.
Yep, that's in there.
Did you ever serve as a court officer or somebody in the courtroom? Like an
Have I ever served? Have I ever worked as a court officer?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
That's a whole different division. That's a whole different division.
So,
I have
so
a
you
cousin
were-
that's a court. I have a cousin that's a court officer. I have a cousin. She just recently retired as a court officer.
Okay, and she was a sheriff's deputy, correct?
No, she was a court officer for the court. She wasn't a sheriff. That's a whole different division. The sheriff people are different than the court officer. The actual court officer works for the judge. Because she would tell me how her and the judge and the other court officers would all mingle together. That's the judge has its court officers. Then you have the sheriff. The sheriff mainly deals with the with the prisoners or the
What?
accused. The accused.
Okay.
The person that's brought in from jail. The sheriff deals with the people coming from jail.
So you're saying in the place that you served that it didn't have a sheriff's deputy posted there during the course of the courtroom as a
Yes,
representative
they did.
of
They had a
people.
sheriff's deputy in the courtrooms. They had a sheriff deputy. They had a court officer. Yes.
Okay. Did you know, my question,
Yeah.
this was brought up, that the
Yes.
sheriff's deputy, the reason that deputy is there is because if the judge or anybody in the court, that's why they're supposed to be so highly trained in constitutional law, that if a sheriff's deputy witnesses an officer of the court committing a deprivation of rights or something under the color of law, that they are required to immediately stop and arrest those individuals in the courtroom, including judges. That's the whole reason they're supposed to be there.
Okay.
That's
I got
part of
one
the
for you.
balances.
I got one for you, okay? Griswold versus Connecticut, 381 U.S. 479, 1965. So the state, the Fourth and Fifth Amendment were described as protections against all government invasions of the sanctity of a man's home and the privacy of life. The court referred to the Fourth Amendment as creating a right to privacy, no less important than any other rights, carefully and particulated reserved to the people, reaffirming the principles set forth in Pierce versus Society of the Sister and Myers versus Nebraska.
I got one better for you, lady. Oh boy. Oh, I just lost it. Here it is. So we wanted to know what the definition of due process was, right? According to Black's Law.
Yep.
The definition of due process is the conduct of legal proceedings according to established rules and principles for the protection and enforcement of private rights, including notice and the right to a fair hearing before a tribunal with the power to decide the case. Also termed due process of law, due course of law, yada, yada, yada. In front of a tribunal with the power to decide the case, that's a jury, right?
Yep, that's a jury.
Okay.
You could also cite Troxel v.
Granville.
Due process.
Yeah, Troxel versus Granville. Yep.
And
Get this, guys. The Supreme Court has ruled that the Supreme Court has ruled that the fundamental guarantees of due process apply to children as well as to adults, and they apply in the situations in which a juvenile may be deprived of liberty, even though the juvenile's proceedings may be labeled civil rather than criminal. The Supreme Court has ruled that the fundamental guarantees of due process apply to the children as well as to adults, and that they apply in situations in which a juvenile may be deprived of liberty, even though the juvenile proceedings may be labeled civil rather than criminal.
Okay, now while you were looking for that, Vinny, what is this person's name? Is it Athena?
Yeah, Athena.
Athena. Okay. Athena mentioned while Darren was looking that due process in Alaska, the family court requires that legal matters are handled fairly and according to established rules. This include the right to be heard, receive notice, and have a neutral decision. I was going to mention that before when you guys were talking, but Athena and Alaska put that down in here.
now,
And Christopher
process is
put down, according to Black's law, process is the process of conducting legal proceedings in a way that protects and enforces private rights. This includes the right to notice and fair hearing. That's from Christopher. So I'm just trying to acknowledge that you have people typing things here that, I'm trying to acknowledge what they're saying to us.
now you guys talk about the Fourth Amendment is very the cornerstone of due process, because if we don't have the right to secure our documents, our families, or anything else, that due process, that very essence of that is actually completely violated. Which due process starts with your home. It starts with what's here, what's protected. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to give you federal case law. Doe et al. Versus Heck et al. Numbers 01-3648, 2003 U.S. Appellate Court, and this is stated by the judge. I want you to listen to this. It says the decision of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals found that this practice, i.e., no prior consent, interview of a child, will ordinarily constitute a clear violation of constitutional parents' rights under the 4th and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. According to the court, the investigated interview of a child constitutes a search and seizure, in other words, a Fourth Amendment right, when they interview your child on your own private property, is what it's saying. Let me continue. And when conducted on private property without consent, warrant, probable cause, or extenuating circumstances, Such an interview is unreasonable search and seizure in violation of rights of the parent, child, and possibly the owner of the private property. Whoa. Whoa.
Okay. Now let me read you this one, as Miss Nuzo is saying down there. So I'm going to read it because I have it. 455 USC 745, 1982. The fundamental liberty interest of natural parents in the care, custody, and management of their child is protected by the 14th Amendment and does not evaporate simply because they have not been modeled parents or have lost temporary custody of their child to the state. A parental right termination proceeding interferes with the fundamental liberty interest when the state moves to destroy weekend families' bonds and much provided the parents with fundamental fairness procedure.
Guys, 90% of the stuff, the reason this is happening to us is because, one, they failed to educate us, as we said that they would, which public education has dramatically failed in every aspect of what it is. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the creator of it turned around and says, I don't want good citizens. I want good workers. Somebody to work in a factory, basically. Ouch. Why would they want to take and hold you, when all they have is contracts in the state? It's the only way they can trap you with this stuff. There is no authority the state has beyond the power of contract. And when you deal with it appropriately in cases, even with CPS, deal with it under contract law. That is the biggest thing. It still has to meet contract law, including you have to fully understand what you're signing. Full understandable. In other words, if it's not in that contract and they say you sign, where does that say that I took and signed away my Fourth Amendment rights for you to come in and out of my home? Well, you signed up for our program. Show me where I waived my rights, because even a criminal has a right to, he has to sign or go on video, something downtown, to say, I hereby waive my rights to an attorney. There has to be documentation of it. How many of your cases has a waiver of rights when they entered your home? Now you have a constitutional rights violation. It's just that simple.
Well,
They hate we're getting organized, we're getting educated, we're sharing information, and people are winning. Matter of fact, I just had two people today, just this past week, because I was in the hospital catching up. We had one lady, she had a constitutional rights violation as clear as possible. And the judge wanted to move over it and tried to do that. And I says, no, you put that court on notice that you are changing jurisdictions on the record. Why you're changing jurisdiction? Because it's a constitutional issue, and the state does not have the power, authority, or jurisdiction to make any rulings whatsoever on constitutional issues. This court loses all its power. And you know what? They put it on notification, they filed it, and their court case got accepted into federal court like that, because it was clearly articulated, nothing to do with family court. This is a constitutional issue. The state courts don't have jurisdiction. And if the judge assumes that, that's a felony. That's a Class A felony for a judge.
no, man, I got jurisdiction.
Well, guess what? Here's the other thing. When you file that, and Darren can back me up on this, when you file your federal for that, they lose jurisdiction automatically. They cannot proceed. The lower courts are frozen until the upper court makes its decision. In other words, if you think they're steam running and you change jurisdictions and you deal with constitutional issues, your state court case has to stop. They can't do anything. They can't pass anything. They can't do anything in the background. It's frozen. If they do, you simply notify the judge in the federal case. They're proceeding on and violating due process. And then you have the power of the full weight of the federal government and a really pissed off federal judge. How dare you? You want to piss off a federal judge? Act like he don't exist and I work for the state. Don't work that way. Same way
Steve,
when you go into a federal courtroom and they say, well, state says, that federal judge is going to look at you and go, I don't give a shit what your state says. We're here for constitutional and federal issues. And that trumps what you've got to say.
do you not realize that this whole entire time, this court that assumes that they have jurisdiction because they assume, well, assumes like an asshole. We all got one. Okay.
Yeah.
They never had subject jurisdiction matter. They never had jurisdiction, and they never had residency jurisdiction at all either. Because
Well, here's my question. If these parents and children's rights and all this case law comes in there, that yes, it is constitutionally protected, then that automatically tells you that the lower courts or even a state court does not have jurisdiction from the very beginning to terminate parents' rights. Am I wrong? Because if it's a constitutional or a federal matter, the lower courts don't have the authority to address it, let alone sever it. Now you get to a federal courtroom. Now the standard's extremely high. They don't want that because 99% of their cases will be terminated or thrown out in a federal courtroom. That's why. And they are making money off this. This is a Ponzi scheme. This is a scam, all the way from CPS involved. And in some states, they turn around and they get you to coerce you to sign over your kids. Guess what? Now in your state, it's a Class C felony. You just gave up your kids. Now you've got a criminal case. And guess what? You got entrapped. That's called entrapment. If a police officer does something like that, that's entrapment. Same thing goes for a government official. That's entrapment. So now they run across the street to the criminal court with a DA and press charges against you. Now you've got a criminal case. Then they go back to family court and say, Your Honor, they've got a felony case against them now. We need control of these kids. Now they got them. That's how they trick you. That's how they get your kids. Then they put them in foster care. Why? You shouldn't even be in there. Why? You were coerced by a state employee to sign that. And when you come to the court, who do they believe? You or the person? I didn't sign that. Matter of fact, if I'm within my window, I rescind it. I'm not signing it. Therefore, I'm not giving up my kids. Now what? Now it's null and void. But once again, now we'll just look over that. Corruption. They don't give a shit because it's all about this. Then what happens? Now we got your kids. Guess where you go next? Child support court, because they're going to hit you for child support. Right? Well, isn't that an issue with separation of powers? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Isn't it also that, guess what? It's a part of those administrative fees on your child support. Guess what some of that administrative fee goes towards? That goes to those judges, those state judges' retirement funds. Now they have a vested interest to put you in that position because they make more money and retire more.
Right.
do you know what this is?
Conflict of interest.
Do you know what this is?
I don't know which one you got.
You can't really read it, but you see the corners?
Yeah.
What is it, Vinny?
It is the Wyndham Police Department complaints against law enforcement and agency personnel form.
Listen, guys, you know why they're getting away with it? Because they have softened all of us on our Second Amendment rights. Because if you knew your rights, the minute they cross that line with your constitutional rights, you have a right under the Constitution to defend yourself, even if it means by force with your Second Amendment. And if anybody wants to come against me for that, prove it in a federal courtroom because you're going to lose
And
every time.
And I did look into this, Darren. It does state every time they arrest someone, they are, in fact, supposed to read them their Miranda rights.
Well, you're supposed to go right to a magistrate, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not right to jail.
Nope.
You're supposed to bring them before and that goes for That goes for a citizen's arrest too, Vinny.
Yep.
I'm going to place you in a citizen arrest, and I have to present you before the magistrate. You have
Fuck
the
around
power
and
of that
find
as
out.
a citizen.
Fuck around and find out, and these Wyndham cops are about to find out because my video has hit quite a few people on the net.
You have the full ability, as every American doesn't realize the power they're given. If you witness a police officer or anything else in the midst of a crime, you hit record on your thing, and catch the crime, you're hereby under arrest, citizen's arrest. Call your
It takes a
supervisor and
while.
surrender
No.
your weapon and everything.
I don't think it's gonna take a while in my situation. Trust me. The ball's already
Oh,
starting
it's
to
all
move.
about to hit the fan, Vinny. We all know it. We start getting these court cases and everything else and start beating them in the courts and proving on the record, proof, evidence, everything else. This is happening. Now we got your attention. Why? Because it's going to cost you something. And we're not talking little penny change of, oh, well, so and so got caught by CPS and all this other stuff. And, oh, well, they won, $2 million in their suit after they went through hell for all this time. Oh, no, 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 no. People are connecting the dots, and they're going to hit them for everything they got. And once they realize these case busts open and we start establishing some case law, it's over. Now you've got to step.
I already have, my range of how much they would owe me figured out, and I tell you what, it's between 11 and 14 million.
Yeah. Oh, my case alone, Darren, you and I have got to go through that. Once we go through that, we'll have to do some adding up of what we figure it's going to be, and that's not even including punitive damages. And if there's no, because for each law they break, there's actually a price tag that goes with that. So for some of you guys that don't know, so if you have kidnapping, deprivation of rights under the color law, those max out. There's max schedules of up to like $250,000 or $500,000 per instance. And once again, that's why you get multiple counts against multiple people. Now you hit RICO and crimes against children, and the other one I've got is, in my particular case, is a form of racism. I ever tell you about that one, Darren?
I do not believe so, sir.
That's where the caseworker called me on the phone. I have that recording. I was sent it to you, and before he hung up on me, because I didn't agree to sign his plan, called me a privileged white ass.
Oh, that's nice.
So we can. That'll definitely be something we'll be adding to it, because his word shot, because we got him on perjury. So now who you gonna believe, me or him? Because I got a whole thing where he denied me my attorney, as Vin was saying, where's my rights? Hey, I want to talk to my attorney before I do anything. Nope. You need to just sign this. You just need to do that. I ain't signing nothing without talking to him. Nope, ain't gonna happen. So and then forged my name right across there. And guess what? I got the evidence for it, and I'm getting ready, and I'm coming after you. So if you're watching this program, count your days, and you know who you are, because I'm coming for you. And no, I ain't letting you off the hook. I ain't taking no deal to where you get a non-disclosure and you go right back to your job with the super things. You just don't work in the field. I know how all your little systems work. You're going to be held accountable. Over. This is where it starts. We're going to start holding people accountable in a court of law. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of people, hey, I've got a case, and they sign a non-disclosure. Hey, is that caseworker still working? Yeah, matter of fact, they made him a supervisor. So the man broke the law, got caught, they paid it off, did a non-disclosure, and they gave that person a promotion for committing a felony. What? Sounds about right, don't it then? Well, we can't put you in the field, we can't put you on the stand, but we can have you coaching other caseworkers. Y'all caseworkers, listen to this. You better listen, because if you've got somebody in your ear telling you to commit crimes, you're still going to be held accountable for committing those crimes, because you did it of your own free will. Yes, you get a little bit of a loophole. I was instructed to. Some of that stuff's free on you. Doesn't mean you. Nobody forced you to enter that home, unless you were given a direct order. You're done. And the first thing that CPS is going to do, hang you caseworkers out to dry. We have a rogue caseworker. That's not the whole organization. Sound familiar? Ouch.
I'd just like to acknowledge Mr. B. He says that 85% of people have no clue what their rights are or even represent them. But they know every football player's stats.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy. You don't even know what your rights are in the court or dealing with the legal system, but you know every damn football player and what the stats are of the football players.
Listen,
that says a lot.
I can tell you that a lot of people, one, they don't want you to know your rights. Okay, there's the first thing. They're not going to educate you. But you, and it used to, and this is sad to say, and I'm going to say this, and people get, and this is not true for everybody, but you'll have to agree with me. You used to be able to go up to a veteran, and a veteran really understood what those rights were, what they were meant. They had good mentors. They were taught that in the military. But nowadays, I can't say the same to be true of a veteran that absolutely knows every bit of their rights. I really do. There are a majority of them do. I will give you that. But it's not as predominant as it used to be 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. People had a better understanding. But at the same time, most people weren't even messed with. There was the biggest thing. It wasn't until our government came after us that all of a sudden we had to figure out how to fight because the attorneys weren't doing it.
So I got to ask you, gentlemen, what you think of this. Okay, this was put out by, this is fact. It's put out by the Maine Morning Star. Okay, or Wire rather. It states there is no increased risk to the public. Maine Democrats want to repeal the crime of violating bail to reduce case backlog. What do you guys think on that?
Repeat that again, Ben. You broke up a little bit from my side.
Maine Democrats want to repeal the crime of violating bail to reduce case backlog.
Violating bail.
You know why they want to repeal it, right?
Why was that be?
Because you're supposed to be able to be allowed to work and have a job and make an income for yourself while you are out on bail. That is why.
Yes, unless you were an immediate threat or a dangerous threat to the community. It also gives you the ability to do what you're supposed to defend yourself in the case, which most of them, to deny that, I mean, unless it's, and here's the other problem. You're innocent until proven guilty unless there's so much overwhelming evidence and everything else there. There's people being denied bail that it's their first time.
Yep.
Wait a minute, what? I can't get bail? I can't this? I mean...
And there's some that, you know, they grant them bail in one of their cases, but in their other case, they deny them bail. That's like a contradiction here.
Well, they call it a different court, a different jurisdiction, or a different subject matter, depending on what it is. For a civil court versus criminal court, and you know that's where they play. That CPS is good at playing that game.
Christy, there's a thing for that. You know what that is? You know what that is called? It's called a de novo bail.
Right.
That's your bond. A de novo bail can be your bond, but you have to get the judge to grant it. Trust me, I know. I have a de novo bail.
Well, that brings up a couple other questions. If it's true that you do have a trust, in Social Security, which has been proven, why do you need to have bail for X amount of dollars when you have that much in your own personal trust under Social Security? Oh, why? Because they're filing against your case against your Social Security and draining your Social Security fund. That's what the state courts do. They want part of what you have.
I don't know, Danielle. I see
Your
him.
comments ain't being blocked, Danielle. I
Yeah,
can see it.
I see you. Probable cause, you said.
Danielle's had all sorts of issues today.
No, Danielle, I can see your best. I can see where it says, "Why are my comments being blocked?" They're not blocked. I can see you saying that. Make a comment.
She's had some issues today. She's had to redo her phone and sign up some other things and stuff like that. Daniel's having some technical difficulties lately. I know I've worked with her on some others today. I think we got resolved from one of the other platforms that we're meeting on. It's a little bit more secure, because we're guys. Listen, there's spies. There's all sorts of people trying to infiltrate groups like this and other groups, to tear them down, discredit them, even to the case of a lot of things. I know there was a recent hearing, for a judge that was done, and from my understanding, it was kind of like nothing was done. They kind of listened a little bit here and there, and a bunch of people were on there, but it basically amounted to nothing. It made no impact, and I think it was more of a reveal for the corrupt court system, in my opinion, to see who's out there and who's making the most noise and who's going to come in there. I think they're dangling the fish on the end of the line, trying to find something because they don't know what's coming and they want to know. And it's like, because understand, guys, a lot of this stuff that we're doing, we're going after. You'll have to forgive me with it. Yeah, Vinny, what was that other terminology? Pro se and what was it? Sue juris?
Yep.
Is that
Yep,
correct?
that is correct.
Yeah, sue jury. So basically, what that means is we're coming in and we're representing ourselves that we have done enough work to actually stand before a judge and say, I can competently, and feel comfortable enough to go through these court proceedings that represent myself and my position before my government. I don't need an attorney to substitute for my own knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing they throw at you is, well, you're practicing the law without a license. No, I have a right to represent myself. It's a constitutional guarantee. And sue juris. Yeah. So you go in there and you make them speak the language. But also, the other thing in your advantage you're going through with a jury trial is it also forces all the attorneys to speak a common language that a jury could understand, not legalese as they do in the courtrooms, like they do to play games to where it's fancy wording and all this other things, rather than just make the basic person understand. Because when you have a jury, that's why they don't want a jury. Then they have to articulate to a panel of 12 what your crimes are. And then they get to decide, not a judge, not on all this other stuff. I'm not a corporation where we're having a contract dispute. This is my family. This is why it should meet not the lowest threshold, especially with children. It should meet the highest, or as equivalent to criminal. But they know they won't have a case in criminal court, which is why they go after you in civil court, created the family court system, and created a bunch of loopholes. And now, with the Chevron doctrine was in place, now we're all professionals. We're experts. We get to pick and choose what laws apply to us.
Just to explain here a little bit of history, you guys don't really realize there's a lot of symbols to this math, and it's not because of the movie Vendetta. It wasn't really about vendetta. It was about taking down corruption and getting rid of them.
In France, of all places, is the
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. Didn't that tie together with the Three Musketeers and some of those other backstories through there? Oh, wait. You mean we have history of that?
That we do. All the way back past the Dyke Temple.
Listen, all throughout history, listen,
And they did exist, people.
guys, listen to me really clearly. This is why it was said that from time and time again that the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots and that of tyrants. Why? Because our Constitution is designed to evolve and adapt in every situation and still hold true to those constitutional principles. The problem is people have gotten greedy and abused this system and found a way to drag people in and sucker them into or pull the wool over their eyes or realize you're doing something without realizing you're doing it, such as these caseworkers. Oh no, just go into the home. It's not a big deal. We say it's okay. And they believe them.
Well,
but there's the problem. This is why we have to stop the tyrants.
Let's touch on that even more, because Trump announced today that he is going to be having a full-blown investigation done on these tunnels under California.
You mean the old Air Force
He
base?
said that.
Oh yeah,
He said,
That's it. Those tunnels in California. Listen, you need to go the history. That part is Hollywood Hills. That Hollywood Hills is an old Army, or it's an old Air Force base. This is also the origin of MK Ultra and PsyOps that was born during the Vietnam era, was at this Air Force base. It was decommissioned and shut down, and one man bought it and developed it and took all the runways and everything else on all the new runways, even stuff like that. That's the same tunnels they're dealing with. That's an old Air Force base. They just built over the top. All they did was draw access holes over some of the old vents or drainage systems to get into those tunnels, or they dug far enough of the foundation. Oh, we got a big hole we got to fill. Well, it's into the runway. Let's just do a path. Now, that's why Diddy's house was connected to Hugh Hefner's house and could get to this house and that house, because they're all on the tunnel system from an old military installation, and they were never backfilled with concrete or dirt or destroyed. They just built over the top. Because why? Because the state of California's codes division allowed it to happen. Their building codes division. Go look down the rabbit hole of that one. That one's got some dark things. MK Ultra. Guess what else came out of that? Ever hear of Charles Manson?
yeah.
Came right out of the same neighborhood. You got to understand, when MK Ultra was shut down, all those experiments, you know what they did? They just put them off the base and put them in the houses. Then they let them run loose. Manson was a product of our own government creating them.
How about this? Okay, this is I'm gonna blow some minds tonight, because I know you guys seen what I posted in the chat earlier, and some of these people have not. All right, here's some factual information for you guys. In Snow White, when she was kissed by the prince, Snow White was 14, the prince was 31.
Oh, there's a lot of dark stuff with Disney. It was more perverted adult cartoons when it first started out in the old black and whites. I mean, you don't believe me? Mickey Mouse is sitting there making donuts off his penis.
Yep.
Proven fact. And Chicago's Democrat. Listen, yes, that does, Nunzo. I can tell you a lot of that too. I'm from originally south side of Chicagoland. That comes through there. Yes, I'm familiar with the dailies. Both father and son that ran Chicago long before Lightfoot took over, and oh my God, that was a nightmare. But at least Chicago at least worked with, in a way, the local underground to work with current government to get things done. I mean, they kind of walked hand in hand. Some of those older societies like Chicago, New York, and this and that. Go on. Oh, hey, Chris.
Rather agree with you.
Yeah.
I'd rather agree with you on that. I'm definitely a Star Wars fan too. So I grew up on Star Wars.
Star Wars, a lot of those. Listen, Hollywood, there was a lot of times Hollywood tried to warn us of good people of what was going on in Hollywood. You can see it throughout several different movies that were produced exposing a lot of things, things that were told that weren't told, things that were hinted at, um, everything from the taking of the kids to some of the uh, things that took in we'll say integrated young people into Hollywood with these young kids and everything. There's a history with the state of Tennessee and Nashville and sanitariums that there were actually raping people that were autistic, Down syndrome, so on and so forth, and unregistered babies and sending them over to Chicago. That's already been proven in a court of law. There's actually a dissertation from the International Association of Down Syndrome that published the paper all on this of how they trafficked. And it wasn't until Ronald Reagan shut them down that now they had no money. Guess what they stepped into? CPS. We took away the sanitariums and the money they were making, drug experiments on patients and inmate, those type of people. The drug companies were paying them tons of money to experiment and do human trials. It's all documented. When we closed them down, what happened? That's the same Department of Human Services people, and you had a sanitarium in your own state. Look it up and look up the history that went with that.
They had a couple in Maine.
Yeah. But now you've got people, I mean, come on. There's no call for anything. Diddy's exposed. You've got, what was her name that came out? The one girl that we talked about. They exposed a lot of stuff for the Diddy that was blowing the whistle on even years before this come out and he got exposed. Allie, what's her name?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking. Yeah. So all that, where's the big investigation? Why wouldn't the FBI raid that place? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't CPS, when they found out the kids were coming from CPS, why isn't it made the news that FBI has raided CPS in California where Diddy was? None of it. Not, oh, we're going to look into it. And you've got kids coming forward left and right that were part of foster care or part of this and part of that, and were picked up by the social workers at foster parents' house, or just snag a new kid and take them to these parties. Hey, you'll get, Allie Carter. Hey, we'll get you to introduce you to some great famous people. Look, you can do this. Look, you get to be touched by one of the Hollywood stars. Nobody's ever done that. You should feel privileged. Can you hear the bullshit? Because I can. I can hear the crap that they were telling these kids. It's okay. These people are famous. It's okay. Hey, nobody's ever had that. Now you're part of something special.
They're about at that time, guys.
It's sick. Oh, guys, in case for you guys watching and you guys watching the show, don't forget to take and hit the like and follow button and follow us. And if you miss anything or any part of our show, usually within 24 to 48 hours, we do post the show. Our good buddy Vinny over here posts the show. Make sure that you can see it again. Maybe not live, but a recording of the show is available to you. So you guys can go back if you've missed something, if we've talked about case law or anything like that, you guys can go back to the show, view it again, and get that information. Because, yes, sometimes we do move fast. We thank you for the like and follow, and please spread the word. Sorry, guys, had to do a poke.
Darren, want to do last word? Can't hear you.
We said we're way over our time. Why don't we get some last words in?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yep.
Herbert.
Parents, when you have interactions with CPS and you have them coming to your door with the police, they don't have a warrant, don't let them in, don't open the door, speak through the door, don't argue with them, try not to show any emotions whatsoever, because that can go against you, because they can play with your emotions and really get you upset. So it's best not to say anything more than just present the paperwork. You have that, I'll let you in. If you don't have it, I don't let you in. And the other thing I want to mention tonight is the fact that we don't have the Dewey Decimal System anymore. So you don't have to worry about going to a library and looking up the Dewey Decimal cards to find out information. You got Google and other forms like that. So everything we're talking about, everything that Gunnar is talking about, everything that Vinny and Darren are talking about, you can find it yourself by going into Google. It's all there. All that information is there. Due process. Everything is in Google.
I'd rather use Wexford all day.
That's a good one there, right? You got it.
Guys, first off, please let all of our listeners and our followers know that, one, we've all gone through this, and we do understand the mental strain, the amount of things you go through emotionally, physically, spiritually. Please don't ever get to the point that ever think that it's enough to end your life. If something like that is going on, please reach out to any of the staff here or any other suicide hotline, any of those other things there. Guys, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope for your kids. Solutions are coming. We're working as hard and as fast as we can, and we're going to do everything within our power to tear this system down every bit of the way. But please don't ever think and give up that hope, because the day that you lose hope, it's just not a good day. If you need help, there's other resources out there. If you checked out my show, we had Sam on there, which has a group for grieving as parents go through. Right now for women, they're working on men to get you some counseling, some help to help you kind of make it through these difficult times and understand this is exactly what CPS wants, is to tear you apart with psychological warfare and make you think that you are a bad parent, you are a terrible person, and that your community looks down on you, that you're a horrific thing. These people are liars. They are forgers. They commit perjury. They have no right in here. And the day of accountability is coming, and their time of the terror of reign is about to end. Guys, thanks a lot for all you do, your support one another. There's the other part. And learn your constitutional rights, and don't be afraid to stand up for them.
All right. Vince out.
I think I'm going to say my last words a little bit different than everyone else, and I'm going to put it bluntly. People, citizens, parents, fathers alike, mothers alike. It is time we, the people, stand against tyranny. It is time to make our voices heard. Trump is on a mission. Go Daddy Trump. Their reckoning is definitely coming. Wake up, America. Wake up.
All right. I'm going to say, I'm going to say this.
Send us home, Darren.
Let's just all make sure that we're all there for one another. That's the most important thing. This isn't a fight against each other. This is a fight for us to beat CPS, get our kids to come home, and get them come home safely and in one piece together, and to bring the family back home. So make sure that all of us are doing this together and not trying to be against one another, because this is no place for us to be against anybody. So that all being said, I'm the CPS Punisher. We are out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care. Have a nice evening.
Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, but chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, or we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lying not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheap. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you